In a time where every new game release demands your constant attention with bloated skill trees, punishing survival mechanics, and dark narratives, Slime Rancher 2 does something incredibly brave. It focuses on genuine charm and beautiful simplicity. But don't let the relaxing vibe fool you into thinking this game is shallow. Underneath this pastel candy-coated shell is a brilliant psychological engine. Today, we're looking at how the mechanics, economics, and environment of Rainbow Island use complex physics and emergent gameplay not to stress you out, but to create a masterclass in relaxing game design. First, we have to talk about the gameplay loop. Most modern survival or farming games hand you a massive, stressful chore list. You have to manage your hunger, your thirst, weapon durability, and stamina. Slime Rancher 2 strips all of that away. Your needs are almost non-existent. You have a backpack and a beautifully simple set of verbs: explore, collect, feed, build. The magic here is that the mechanics are simple yet not shallow. The joy of the game doesn't come from fighting the system or min-maxing a spreadsheet. It comes from existing smoothly within the world. This extends perfectly into the game's economy, a system of what I like to call cozy capitalism. Most farming sims create stress by making you feel poor, forcing you to grind to pay bills or survive the winter. But the plort market in Slime Rancher 2 never punishes you. There are no taxes. Your slimes won't starve to death if you take a few days off to explore. The economic system is there to give you goals and a sense of progression, but the pressure is entirely self-imposed. It's an economy built purely on positive reinforcement. Finding a new slime type, figuring out its favorite food, and watching its little face light up when you feed it is pure, distilled dopamine. The game strips away the friction of traditional survival games to leave you with only the most charming, rewarding interactions. Just like in the first game, these slimes are objectively just balls of math. They don't actually have feelings, but because the developers programmed them as sphere colliders with wants, they exhibit behaviors that don't just serve survival. A cotton slime doesn't need to bounce wildly into the air, and a ringtail slime doesn't need to mischievously steal your food. They just want to. When you see one slime carrying a fruit to another, your brain naturally goes, "Oh, they're sharing." This is anthropomorphism, our tendency to attribute human characteristics and emotions to non-human things. The game's mechanical simplicity gives our brains the room to fill in the gaps. Because the game relies on physics and unscripted AI behaviors rather than a pre-written story, it constantly generates surprise, the rarest resource in game design. Let me give you an example. You might be walking through a cave when a mischievous ringtail slime decides it wants a hen. It dives for it, startling a flutter slime in the process. The flutter slime takes off, knocking an angler slime into a puddle, creating this beautiful, glowing, splashing physics pileup. You didn't script that. The developers didn't script that. It's just a happy, chaotic accident. We connect emotionally with these digital blobs, making the world feel incredibly alive without ever needing a complex dialogue tree or a scripted cutscene. But mechanics are only half the story. The real star of Slime Rancher 2 is Rainbow Island itself. If the first game felt like running a dusty, frantic farm in the Wild West, the sequel feels like retiring to a magical nature reserve. Your home base, the conservatory, is a massive glass structure looking out over an iridescent, shimmering ocean. You aren't here to conquer this island or strip mine it for resources. You are here to coexist with it. Every single zone is deliberately designed to soothe the player, right down to the actual science of the aesthetics. The colors have shifted from primary hues to softer, dreamier pastels. Psychologically, pastel colors reduce visual strain and overstimulation, which physically relaxes the player. Sunlight filters softly through ancient prismatic trees, bathing the landscape in a gentle glow that makes the entire world feel like perpetual golden hour. Complementing this visual serenity is the ambient soundtrack. Instead of the fast, percussive beats of action games that artificially induce adrenaline, the music here swells gently and mimics resting heart rates, quietly fading when you pause to take in the view. Of course, you can't have physics and chaos without things occasionally going wrong. Eventually, slimes will cross-pollinate too much and a Tarr outbreak will happen. But even here, Slime Rancher 2 handles failure beautifully. When a Tarr appears and starts eating your ranch, it's not a game over screen. You don't lose your save file. It's just a temporary mess you have to clean up with some water. The game teaches us that chaos is inevitable, but it's also manageable and not something to deeply fear. It takes the anxiety out of making a mistake, turning a catastrophic systemic failure into just another chore to tidy up before you go back to relaxing. So, why do we keep coming back? Why spend hours organizing a vibrant world that occasionally tips into playful chaos? Because the real world is complicated enough, and scripted AAA stories often feel like we're just pressing buttons to watch a movie. Slime Rancher 2 respects your time and your mental energy. It gives you a set of unpredictable, delightful toys and a beautiful island, and lets you find your own meaning. In these moments of emergent gameplay, the world feels genuinely authentic. The sense of agency is real because your actions, the stunning environment, and the system's randomness combine to create a deeply personal, relaxing experience. It's not just a cozy game, it's a laboratory for human empathy, wrapped in a beautiful, low-stakes sandbox. It asks nothing of you except to enjoy the view and maybe make a pretty penny from selling plorts along the way. I want to know, what's the most human or charming thing you've seen a slime do on Rainbow Island that was definitely just a physics accident? Let me know in the comments. I'm Yuris, and I'm going to go enjoy the sunset on Rainbow Island.